Hey everybody, it's Andrew here and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about the idea of giving seniors $2,400 per month as the minimum social security benefit. So let's discuss the details, but before we jump into it, as always, do me a quick favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even potentially approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you so much for being a part of our community. And if you really want to support my work, consider subscribing to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. And on that channel, we're going to have a bingo night every Monday night. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be live where you could chat with me and chat with the community. And we're going to be giving away stimulus checks as well on those Monday night bingo games. So thank you so much for your support. And with that said, let's jump right into it. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about the idea of giving a minimum benefit of $2,400 per month for Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. And this involves tying the benefit with the minimum wage depending on your state. Now, this can be a little complex because every state has a different minimum wage, but this is an idea that's been thrown out there, and I really think it's a good one because it would end up giving most seniors a huge increase when it comes to their benefits. So it's a really interesting idea, folks. Please stick around, but right before we get into that, we're just going to do a 2-minute update on daily trending news. Now, currently trending in the news is this article saying, what are the 10 best states to retire in 2022? Now, the way they did this was they took into account affordability, so how much housing and cars cost in this state, the quality of life, which was mainly based off of the weather and activities that you could do outdoors in that state, as well as how the healthcare system ranks in that state as well. And coming in at number one is Florida, mainly based off of the weather and the fact that it's very affordable compared to other states, especially the fact that it has no state income tax. And coming in at number 2 and number 3 are Virginia and Colorado. Again, mainly because of the affordability and the weather that you get there. And Colorado specifically is known for having really good healthcare. So let me know your thoughts on that, folks. I also want to point out that I've been getting a lot of questions in the comments of my videos as to whether or not people should be investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Now, being that my community is for seniors, I know most of you are retired and living on Social Security benefits. And a lot of seniors have said, Andrew, I've seen people invest $1,000 and get back $10,000 or $50,000 when they invested in Bitcoin just 2 years ago. Should I be doing the same? Now, first of all, I want to say that I really can't give financial advice, but all I want to say is be careful, folks, especially for seniors. This is a really high reward investment, but also really high risk. And the main thing you have to keep in mind is you have to be comfortable with putting your money into Bitcoin and having it literally go down 90%. That's literally a possibility, so especially for seniors who are living on a fixed income, and a lot of seniors might need this money really quickly. People who are 19 years old, 25 years old, they can invest $1,000 in Bitcoin and not worry about touching it for 5 to 10 years. Now, seniors don't always have that luxury. So just a disclaimer here, folks, I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos asking about investing in Bitcoin, and like I said, all I will say is whatever you invest here, personally, I would say you have to be willing to let it go down 90%. Although historically, when that happens a couple of years later, it does end up going up like 1,000%, right? So it's really volatile, it's high reward, but it's extremely high risk. So for seniors, I personally recommend only putting in there what you can afford to lose. And again, I'm only saying this because I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos asking about Bitcoin and whether or not you should invest. And guys, let me know in the comments. Do you want me to make more videos that are just dedicated to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Let me know in the comments because I've been getting more questions about it. And if you guys would like, I will make more in-depth videos on that. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about in trending news before we jump into this idea of giving $2,400 per month is the Medicare Part B premium. Now, at this point, all of you know that Medicare Part B had the largest increase in history and increased to about $170 per month. Then Bernie Sanders actually wrote a letter to Medicare telling them to reconsider and lower that Medicare monthly premium because it was just honestly ridiculous. And on top of that, there was one medication that accounted for like half of this increase. So he wrote a letter about a month or two ago to Medicare asking them to lower premiums by at least $11 per month and also provide a refund for seniors who have already paid in January and potentially even February coming up, right? So if you already paid your monthly premium, what Bernie Sanders wants to happen is he wants that premium lowered by at least $11.50, and he wants that money given to you back as back pay. Now, $11.50 might not seem to a lot to some folks, but for many people on Social Security and Medicare, this Part B premium is not a trivial part of their income. Now, for example, even a senior living on 175% of the federal poverty level, which is way more than most people that watch my videos, that would be $23,000 per year. And even at that annual income, the Medicare Part B premium is still almost 9% of their annual income just spent on this Part B premium. Now, if you're getting 10,000 or 12,000 like most people who watch my videos, it's like 15% of your income just on the Part B premium. So this is why Bernie Sanders is fighting. Bernie Sanders wrote this letter to Medicare, and then Medicare actually said they will reconsider it, and they're re-examining this. That was about a month ago, and now we're sitting here. It's the beginning of February, essentially, and they still haven't made their decision. So Bernie Sanders sent another letter just a couple of days ago urging them to make their decision now, lower it by at least $11.50, and immediately provide seniors that refund as back pay on their Social Security payment, folks. So, as of now, although Bernie Sanders wrote this letter, we are still waiting for Medicare to make their final decision. So, again, please subscribe. I will keep you posted as soon as we get a final answer on whether or not this Part B premium will be reduced and given back as back pay. So like I said, folks, Bernie Sanders wrote a really long letter. I'm going to read this in one of my next videos. But for now, let's jump right into this idea of tying Social Security benefits and creating a minimum benefit that is tied in with your state's minimum wage. Now, when you think about it, folks, this idea, it can be a little far-fetched. It can be a little complicated, especially because every state has a different minimum wage, which don't even get me started on the fact that the federal minimum wage hasn't really been changed in years. Like if you look here, the minimum wage federally in 1997 was $5.15 per hour. Then in 2007, 10 years later, they raised it by a whopping 70 cents to $5.85 per hour. Then the very next year, it went up to $6.55. And in 2009, it went up to $7.25. So that's the federal minimum wage. Now, even if we took the federal minimum wage, right? So let's take $7.25 per hour, multiply that by 40 hours per week, and then multiply that by 52 weeks per year. That's $15,080 per year. Now, I know for a fact that a large majority of people who watch my videos get anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 per year. So imagine if you went from getting $8,000 per year to $15,000. That's literally almost doubling your Social Security payment. And the reasoning here for tying it in with minimum wage is essentially the idea that no senior should be forced to live in poverty, especially if they paid into the system their entire life. Now, this idea extends to SSI and SSDI as well. If you're disabled and you're in the richest country in the history of the world, you should not be forced to live in poverty. And folks, let me know in the comments if you agree. Now, this is a really interesting idea because the thought here is if you've paid into the system your entire life, if you're on Social Security benefits, then instead of just tying in the Social Security benefit increases with COLA, it should be tied in with the minimum wages. Because if you've worked your whole life, you paid taxes for 30, 40, 50 years, shouldn't your benefit be at least minimum wage? I mean, think about it. If you're getting $8,000 per year, that essentially works out to like $3 per hour if you were working full time. Now, a lot of people would come at me and say, well, you're not really working, you're retired. But the point of Social Security is to give you a safety net to allow you to retire at some point, right? I mean, if you worked for 50 years, you're 75 years old, you worked for 60 years, why shouldn't you be allowed to retire and have a benefit that doesn't force you to live in poverty, right? And although the minimum wage generally isn't enough on itself, I think it's a really good benchmark to be tied in with Social Security benefits and would allow the majority of seniors to live above the poverty level. And even at the $7.25 per hour, which is the federal minimum wage, that would give you $15,000 per year. Now, if you take a look on your screen, you have every single state's minimum wage, and on the right side, you have 2022. Now, the state with the highest minimum wage is $15 per hour, right? So over double what the federal minimum wage is. So if you take $15 per hour, you multiply that by 40 hours per week, and multiply that by 52 weeks per year, that's $31,200 per year in California for Social Security benefits. That would literally be triple or quadruple what a lot of seniors in California are getting. Well, then you have the argument, well, why should someone in California get a larger Social Security benefit than someone in Georgia just because of where they live, even if they worked more and paid more into the system? Well, the idea here is that this would just be the minimum. So, for example, if you worked in Georgia your whole life, but you made really good income, there's a good chance that your Social Security benefit is already going to be somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 per year anyway. The same rule applies in California. That same rule applies in any state in this country. But by tying in the minimum benefit with minimum wage, that would really kind of set the bar and align benefits with minimum wage, which tends to align with what the poverty level is in that state. So California has a much higher cost of living. In order to not live in poverty, you have to make at least $15 per hour in California. Honestly, probably much, much more. So this is why the idea of tying in the minimum Social Security benefit with minimum wage in each particular state makes a lot of sense. And again, not only does it make sense logically, but it would also provide seniors with a much larger benefit. It would really create a system where it is really a social safety net, and those at the bottom are guaranteed a minimum benefit that doesn't force them to live in poverty, folks. So that's basically the idea here, and that would really end up giving the majority of people about $2,400 per month on Social Security benefits as a minimum, depending on what state you're in. Now, if you were in a state that only gave $7.25 per hour as a minimum wage, you would be getting about $1,250 per month. But if you were in a state that got about $13 to $14 per hour as a minimum wage, you would be getting about $2,400 per month as your minimum Social Security benefit. So that's the idea there, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you think there's any pros or cons to the idea. Personally, like I said, I do see a can of worms potentially with people thinking it's unfair depending on what state you're in. There might be some tweaks that would be needed, some kind of nuanced rules to really make it even out a little more fairly. But that's the general idea. And quite frankly, I think it's a great idea. And at the end of the day, it would literally create a minimum that really didn't allow a single senior to live in poverty. Because like we said at the beginning of this video, $7.25 as a minimum wage translated into Social Security benefits would add up to $15,000 per year, putting you right at about 125% of the federal poverty level. Now, not only would this help seniors dramatically, but a lot of experts think this would help Democrats win these midterm elections. We've talked about it at length in my last few videos, that Democrats are searching for ways to try and win these midterm elections, and as it stands now, they're probably going to lose both chambers, leaving President Biden as a sitting duck. And one way of doing this would be to reform Social Security benefits, and this idea, personally, I think is one of the best ideas I've heard. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, President Biden has also talked about doing things like lowering prescription drug prices, expanding Medicare and Medicaid, providing more affordable housing, tons of things that would help seniors. Of course, negotiations have floundered, but one thing that we expect to make it in the package still is lowering prescription drug prices. Now, full disclosure here, we don't really expect this to be across the board for like all medications, but this is probably still going to target things like insulin, name brand medications that don't have a generic, so they engage in price gouging. Really, it'll just be a step in the right direction. It will help millions of seniors directly, but it'll really pave the way for lowering prescription drug prices across the board long term. And this is one thing that we do still expect to make it in this next package. And President Biden actually just gave a speech a couple of days ago ago discussing the importance of lowering prescription drug prices to help millions of seniors in this country. So folks, to end this video, I'm going to leave you with this clip from President Biden. It's giving us hope that this will still end up in this package and help millions of seniors, as healthcare and prescriptions is one of their largest expenses today. So with that said, folks, thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe. I will keep you posted on anything that affects seniors in this country, like Social Security benefits, Medicare and SNAP benefits, and the next stimulus package as well. So let's take a look and see what President Biden had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.
Today, I'd like to talk about how we're going to help millions of Americans protect and preserve their health and live with the dignity of knowing that they can care for themselves and their loved ones, all by making the cost of prescription drugs much more reasonable. At the outset, I want to be clear. We acknowledge the groundbreaking, life-saving work that many pharmaceutical companies are doing. Look no further than the vaccines and the treatments they're manufacturing and delivering that are helping fight this pandemic. Our miraculous therapies have, in some cases, turned diseases that were once considered death sentences into treatable conditions. But we can make a distinction between developing those breakthroughs and jacking up prices on a range of medicines which have been on the market for years without making a substantive or substantive change in the medication itself, the medicine itself. Here in America, it will not surprise you to know that we pay the highest prescription drug prices of any developed nation in the world. Let me say that again. We pay the highest prescription drug prices of any developed nation in the world. That may surprise you. What may surprise you is we pay about 2 to 3 times what other countries pay for the same drug. An example, one anti-cancer drug costs $14,000 in the United States. That same exact drug by the same manufacturer costs $6,000 in France. Today, 1 in 4 Americans who take prescription drugs struggle to afford them. Nearly 30% of these patients have skipped doses of essential drugs that they have to take. Others have simply not fulfilled the prescription, tried to use over-the-counter drug and cut pills in half, or because they can't afford the cost of their prescription. You know, even if you think this doesn't affect you, it does. Everyone has less money in their pockets because high drug costs make health insurance more expensive for everyone. There aren't a lot of things that almost every American can agree on. But I think it's safe to say that all of us, whatever our background, our age, where we live, we can agree that prescription drugs are outrageously expensive in this country. It doesn't need to be that way. Under my Build Back Better bill, which is passed the House of Representatives, it won't be the same way.